Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. Pretty eventful game, to be honest. Las Palmas, we knew they're going to bring the style, they're going to bring the flair, they're going to bring the dare. They're not your average Liga side. They used to always have the front foot style of football, being part of their, being part of their central philosophy, basically. Even going back, 5, 6 years when they were, last in the top flight. They were pretty, attractive to watch, and obviously due to that, a joy to play against. Let's be honest, but that's what we want. Although it might not, really, do their fortunes any favors. This is what we want to see. Open-ended football. Teams really giving it a go. Las Palmas is down to the 87th minute. They're trailing 2-0. They still are not letting go of their principles. Playing out of the back, trying to keep the ball, staying true to what they believe in. So big up Las Palmas, man. Um, they have the most possession after the top two. Barcelona and ourselves. They keep the ball with some style, but yeah, my main gripe from tonight is basically the very fact that we kept shooting ourselves, on our feet, time and time again. Tonight was a perfect opportunity, to put the Madrid derby fiasco behind us and basically put out, a proper statement in terms of the scoreline. And we had the opportunity, and we just didn't take it. It could have been 4, 5, 6 nil, easy. But we just, I don't know, maybe didn't want it enough, or maybe wasn't lucky enough. I just can't put it down to just poor quality up top, because we did create some nice chances, but it wasn't meant to be 2-0. I'll take it, and I'll run, and, hopefully pray that we kind of take some positives from tonight to, the big one, to surprise Liga leaders. Not in a million years, I would have thought that I would consider Girona as one of, early front runners for the league. But that is what 2023, has brought to the table. And they have looked absolutely scintillating, the few highlights I've watched. I haven't really watched any full games, but I've been keeping a keen eye on Girona, and they look like the real deal, man. Only, the only thing is just early parts of the season. But without further ado, welcome our esteemed panel, Mo and Jacob. I'll come to you first, Mo. How has it been going? How's the day? Did you expect much more from our performance?
I don't know, man. I don't know how to answer that question. We all expected a bounce back, right? So
Right.
yeah, there was a bounce back. We all expected a dominant display. Apart from the goals, I thought that we were pretty dominant in the game. Till the time we scored the second goal. I think after that we kind of like let go of the pressure pedal and started absorbing more pressure from Las Palmas. So for me personally, yeah, this is what I expected. Perhaps more on the goal scored column, but we only got two. But that is how it is. The players we have on the field. I don't know. I really don't expect too much more.
Mm. There you go, folks. That's it. That's the tale of the times, basically. Because rewind back to the era where we were dominating Europe and Spain with BBC, we would expect goals galore, on a game against Las Palmas, unless it's away where it's always been tricky at home. You would fancy a good route, but not today, not tonight. Jacob, man, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. This game was completely different for me, at least, compared to the other games that we've seen throughout the season. It was akin to the Athletic Club game where the other team didn't really turn up. Like Las Palmas, just coming into the preview, just while we were previewing the match, we were mentioning they had the best defense in the league so far. They've conceded only 4 goals until now, and I just couldn't believe what I saw on the pitch in terms of their defending. And I had some really hair-pulling moments as well when
They were having a makeshift centre back partnership. I think it wasn't their ideal.
Yeah, they had a
pairing.
red card in the previous match,
Mm.
so I guess that played a factor as well. But overall as well, like they just weren't at the level of Real Madrid on the day, but still, like in the second half, it was just easy going. for me. I almost felt like lighting a candle, just putting on some nice music and relaxing. But the first half, there was definitely some hair scratching moments, with Joselu and everyone missing the chances.
100% big up everyone in the chat. Smash the like if you haven't already. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Also, friendly reminder again, Football Content Awards, we are finalists in two major categories, one for the best international podcast and one for best international uh, club content creator. So the link is in the description. Unlike last time where it was whole out messy through Instagram and whatnot, people who didn't have Instagram were actually reaching out to me via Facebook and whatnot, asking me is there an alternative way. And last time I didn't really have an answer, but this time it's pretty easy. You go down to the link link in the description. You go to their website, and in the aforementioned categories, in the drop down, it's fairly simple, fairly easy. Let's be real. A Real Madrid podcast. We are one of the finalists. Just vote for us, and yeah, I can't stress how massive an achievement would this be for us. In a very small career, you could say, or very small time, actually devotedly doing what we love, talking about our club and covering our club in all ways possible. Yeah, fam. It'll be a big thing that we owe to you if you actually help us manage us over the line. But yeah, let's get into the games. We have a few comments already from Ashik. Let's quickly. He was saying top two is Girona and Real Madrid, not us and Barcelona. Just saying, he has his usual sly humor out. Big up Ashik though, always. I can't read all that essay, man, honestly, because that's gonna take half an hour. But big up Rudrajit Sinha as well. He was saying, I can't believe this 11 won the match. Well, Jude missing out. I was thinking, what's going on? Maybe he isn't really fit. Maybe the stomach issue or something, or virus or something he was having would be a factor in that. And yeah, Brahim at a 10, first game, starting at home. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was pretty nice, to be honest. For large parts, Brahim looked like the guy that was connecting the midfield and the attack. A much more natural number 10. He has played that countless times. Well, what better note than to begin on, man? Brahim Diaz. This is a position that's familiar to him. He has applied his trade quite a lot. Even in Milan, where he was the guy at 10. What was your expectations when you saw him in the lineup, and how did it unfold on the pitch on the night?
Yeah, for me personally, I think that when I saw the lineup, I was a little bit scared because I don't really. I've said multiple times I don't really like the diamond formation, like for this current group of players. But I think what Brahim did better than I expected him to do. But we also have to understand that the fact that Ancelotti made subtle changes in the game while the game was playing out. Fede kind of drifted wide and was stretching their back line. So we sort of had a pseudo 4-2-3-1 thing going. With Fede, Rodrigo, and Brahim, combining well in the higher up the pitch. So for me, that was a highlight. It wasn't essentially a true 4-4-2 diamond that we have seen so far at Real Madrid. And I think there's something that probably people might not like hearing, but I thought that Brahim played the role of a 10 much better than Bellingham plays. Creating chances for others. Dribbling, taking players on, creating those passes through the lines and everything. I think that connecting plays, combining with Rodrigo, going out to half space. These are the things that I think Brahim showed today that we don't really see from Bellingham. So I was quietly impressed with his performance. I was disappointed when Ancelotti took him off at minute 55 because I think he deserved to play the full 90 based on his performance. Although I'm not sure what his stamina is like because if I remember correctly, at Milan he had a tendency to get withdrawn early. So it is what it is. I would have loved to see him play more, but overall, I think his performance was pretty good, and he deservedly got the man of the match.
100%. Although I would, like I completely agree that Brahim looks like a much more natural 10, but let's be honest, Jude actually had to face much tougher tests
Yeah, I
beforehand.
mean that's a valid point. The fact of the matter is, like, Jude is a better player than Brahim currently, but like Jude is scoring goals. So at the end of the day, football is about scoring goals. Brahim also got one today, but we'll see if he can get the same number of goals going forward in the chances he gets. But and with Ancelotti, you never know if he'll get the chances.
Mm. My God, remember there was a time where Carlos football used to be so exciting that it was only a matter of time, only a matter of how many, and not if and how, back in his first in. But Jacob and Brahim Diaz, man of the match for the night. Did you think that he got his plaudits deserved? Did you think that this was a long time coming, since he has always impressed, whenever he had a cameo appearance?
Yeah, I mean, he did all of the right things. He was positionally very nice compared to Bellingham, I guess. But again, this is like a very weak team. But you can only face the teams put in front of you. So I feel like he did his job well. The only thing is that I felt like earlier on in the first half, he was a bit nervy for me. So he kept missing some of the through balls. And then you remember he was also through on goal very early on, and he basically took a very loose touch. So if he gets all of those nerves ready, just a bit more match time, I feel like he can be a very useful player, especially against these bottom table La Liga teams. What I didn't like about like this forward line, like just with context of Brahim like playing through the middle, is that Joselu was pushed out wide, so you could actually see him put in those crosses to fucking Rodrigo and Brahim from the right and the left hand side. So that wasn't fun to watch, but it is what it is, man.
That used to happen regardless of who was on the pitch. I always thought that, like maybe it's, I think maybe it's a fault of the design, of the formation, where, like even when Jude is on the pitch, like I see
I mean, with Jude on the pitch,
Joselu drifting out wide.
I can totally understand like putting in the cross, right? Jude can get it to it, but when it's Brahim, I don't know, man.
But the thing is, bro, like if you go out wide, what else is there to do apart from maybe putting in a cross, or
Yeah.
passing it back?
The point is like it's not about
It's
Joselu
just
doing
hoping for
badly.
the best.
Yeah,
There is no deliberate design to this. You should remember that.
No, the bad thing about
Right,
this
this
is
is
the
just
fact
desperation.
that Joselu is pushed out
My
wide, right?
opi-
Why is he playing there? Right?
My opinion is the fact that Joselu so far, like whenever we see him, he struggles a little bit in the build-up. So I think there is this decision. There is this attempt to make him get more comfortable. Drifting out wide, participating in the build-up, holding up play, combining with others in the half spaces. I think when Real Madrid are progressing the ball, in matches before this, we've always had this issue where one of our wingers would get the ball deeper, and then they wouldn't really be able to progress the ball further. One of our midfielders would get the ball. So I think in these situations, you need your striker to help out. Uh, Ideally, you would want your number 10 to do that, and I think today Brahim was also doing that to some extent, and Joselu also maybe made an attempt. For me, it wasn't a big issue because as the play went on, that sort of like kind of got adjusted, and Joselu had a lot of chances, in the half space and inside the penalty box, a lot of them which I think he should have buried, but it is what it is. Joselu, we always know he needs 5 to score 1. So.
Since we are on Joselu, let's talk about him before we actually break down his performance. You had a very good point over there. More like this might be a genuine attempt to actually get him to be more on the ball, get his confidence up and whatnot. But I have a slightly different perspective. This formation, its front two is basically expected to be comfortable going out wide, comfortable, drifting out wide, and providing some sort of width. Because apart from the fullbacks, this formation is super narrow. So at times where it's too flogged, down the center, the front two has to put in a shift to go out wide. The only thing is, when you see a 6'4" man doing that, it's just not natural, and you can clearly see it's not his strong facet. But let's get into a few of the comments. Ricardo was earlier saying over here, I can't give any conclusion until we win convincingly against a strong opponent. Based off of tonight's performance, the opponent was inferior. So yeah, it explains pretty much everything. Ricardo, big up yourself. That's the thing, right? Like playing against Las Palmas, Getafe, even Sociedad, who gave us plenty of problems. It's fine. But when you come up against a proper side, all these, confidence, this spice we have, it just,
I mean,
clearly
we touched
lacks.
upon
Go on.
this like at the end of Atleti post match, right?
Mhm.
We knew that Romero was going to bounce back, and all the criticism that we had like about the 4-4-2 in that might come back and bite us in the ass. But the thing is, like, you can only use these sort of games to build yourself up and try new things. So yeah, at the end of the day, you can only decide how good a team is with how they perform in the key moments, in the big matches. So far we had one big match against Atleti that we didn't do well. We had one decent opposition in La Real, probably struggled a bit at the start but recovered and did well at the end. So it's been a mixed bag so far. We'll see how it goes. We still have to play Barcelona, we still have to play Napoli in the Champions League. I don't really know what's happening at Napoli and what sort of team they will be when we play them next week. Girona is going to be an interesting test coming over the weekend, but at the end of the day, you can only play against the teams that are put up in front of you. So we take it as it goes.
Mm, definitely been a mixed bag. Like I can't really vouch for any sort of a string of results. On like what Ricardo was saying. This performance is just something to calm your nerves, something to get that derby loss. Kind of in the put that in the rear view mirror basically. Um, Ashik was saying, man of the match today is Las Palmas' wingers for not dumping crosses, giving us a clean sheet. There you go.
I mean, I remember they had like one good cross when Marvin Park when he came on, he had one good cross. That's the only one I remember. I think that was like in a pretty dangerous area. But overall, I
Mm.
think they did put in some crosses, but Rudiger, he held back. He didn't kind of go chasing the ball all over the place, and he held his position, and we were able to deal with them. But towards the end of the game, I think there was definitely some moments where they put in some good crosses, and we had some nervy dispositions towards them.
Rudiger was pretty good today, but again, this isn't exactly the caliber of opposition we would like him to be pitted against. But yeah, he had a good outing. I'm gonna lie. Unfortunate about Alaba's injury. Since we're on the centre back topic, we were on the Hosselu topic. We'll get back to it, but since we're on it, Alaba, man, again another injury. Apparently, Rudiger also had a slight niggle. How peak is it, Jacob? You know,
Speak.
just headed into October,
It's not just
where
about
things are
October,
gonna.
man. It's not just that.
Yeah.
We had 7 matches to play. We had 8 injuries so far. Fucking it. We're getting more injuries than matches played. So again, like Atletico Madrid also has had like really big injuries. For some annoying reason, Barca seems to be escaping it for this season. So far, at least. But let's just hope, man. Like this bad run of injuries just stop after a point, and once the season gets going, we all have all of them back fit and ready.
I just really hope, and because going up against Girona away, if it's only Nacho and someone like Marvel, what is the plan? Because I really don't know.
Sunil is very hopeful, taking names like Castilla players.
Yeah.
If nobody is fit, I think Chouameni is going to
Who
be
else?
back.
Tchouameni
is going to play centre back, yeah. But I'm just putting it out there. Like, who else is going to actually help us out? Like Chouameni, does he have actual experience like Casemiro playing centre back? Because I don't know.
I've never seen him play centre back.
Me neither. I haven't even heard him play centre back. So, man, it's not ideal at all. Like,
Maybe
why are we?
Carvajal can play,
That's an option, but my man is the size of my right
You
thigh.
remember that
It's
Salah centre back against Chelsea?
yeah, I know. I remember. Like he put in a performance, but that was like last
Chelsea.
stitch, basically. Yeah.
That's what we gotta call back on. The
Why didn't he start today? Because just easing him in, yeah, basically.
He's coming back from injury. Yeah.
Okay, understandable. Right. It's not looking ideal, honestly. The centre back situation is not looking ideal. So many of the departments not looking ideal. Another department that we are, super thin on, Jose Lu. My God, in the first half, I felt like he had a calling.
Calling to what?
I A calling from Devil himself, because the amount of chances that he was, being given. Honestly, I felt he sacrificed for some good, maybe in the latter stages of the Champions League this season. Honestly, some sort of a ritual going on, because like all credit to YS, the Las Palmas keeper, he was exceptional on the night. Like the commentator was saying, like his value is going to rise, overnight because of this performance. But um, let's be honest here. If Hoselu was actually a bit more clinical, like he put in a lot of venom behind some of the shots. I understand the keeper stood tall, stood firm. But if it was Benzema, if it was Haaland, Harry Kane, you name any top striker, they would be getting at least a brace, maybe a hat trick. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Like the first half a brace, and including the second half, they should be getting the match ball and walking off around minute 60. That's how easy it was against Las Palmas. If um, if against Las Palmas he couldn't do the job, what is he going to do against a top class opposition? Mo, we all know that his weaknesses are, really out there for everyone to see. It's out there in broad daylight. But when in real match situations, you see it with your own eyes, how can you console yourself? I know he got a very good goal. That header is world class, not gonna lie. That header alone, if you look at it in isolation, it's brilliantly executed. The direction, the power involved, the angle at which it was sent in, brilliant effort. But before that, it left me wanting so much.
Your question was like, how do you console yourself? There's a line that Mourinho said: "If you can't hunt with a dog, you hunt with a cat." So you go and hunt with a cat. That's what we're doing right now with Joselu. Like whenever you watch Joselu play, you can understand. Like whenever he has to score with his feet, he kind of rushes his shots. So that is, I don't see that as something that he's going to improve. That is the difference between a striker who's at the top level and a striker who's like below that. When Hoselu was signed, we all said, like personally, I wasn't even actually in favor of signing him, but when he came on, it was like, yeah, he's a good player. He can be a good backup, but he's not a starting striker material for Real Madrid. But for whatever reason, we won't go into the specifics. But like the Real Madrid board decided to, Hoselu was going to be the only signing at the striker position. So it is what it is. I mean, there's a difference between the likes of Benzema, Haaland, and all those players you mentioned, and the likes of Joselu. There's a reason why those guys get paid the big bucks, and Joselu is like on loan, basically costing us like 500,000 and like 1.5 million euros in wages or whatever. So there's a difference, and you get what you pay for.
For me, it's
Jacob,
not.
any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you compare all of these other guys, right? Today on this match, it wasn't about his ability on the ball or like his finishing ability or whatnot. I feel like he did miss that chance very early on. Like it was pretty much an open net. He missed that, and I feel like his whole mentality changed. Like he couldn't believe that he missed those things, and that just kept building on, and it made him more and more impatient on the pitch. And when we actually scored with Brahim, that weight was lifted off, and then he could actually, when he puts his mind to it, I feel like he can put these chances off. But he has to watch out for his overall mood, and he shouldn't let things in the match affect him.
Jacob, I do agree with you with the fact that pressure was building when he wasn't scoring. But the fact is, like, even based on what we have seen from his previously, this guy is like somebody who really has trouble scoring with his feet. There's a reason why he left the academy and went on the world tour that he went on. So for me personally, he's pretty good aerially, and I think that's his redeeming factor. When Joselu is on the pitch, you want to ping in crosses and hope he buries one of those headers in. But if you are playing him through putting the ball at his feet, there was a lot of chances where he was like literally open. There was nobody marking him. With Rodrigo, Rodrigo also, I wasn't really happy about his performance today. But with Rodrigo, you at least see like there are like 2 or 3 players surrounding him, the defenders pressuring him. Joselu was like in open space. He had a lot of time to take a decision. I think it's not just about rushing shots; it's also about making the right decision. I think that's what differentiates top level players from players below that level. I think if there was a Benzema or if there was a Lewandowski or a Haaland, they have this ability to make that split second decision. Players like Joselu, they're also, obviously Joselu could run rings around me, but he has that ability. He doesn't have that ability to make that decision in a split second. Where he's gonna place the ball, how is he gonna shoot, how much power he's gonna apply. So top level players have that, and I think Joselu doesn't have that. It's not his fault. He's supposed to be a backup. At Real Madrid, he's not supposed to be a starter.
That Rudiger chance, where he basically dribbled like he was, fucking Desailly, past couple of players, and like
That was like
basically
sort of
put it on a plate.
De Bruyne level ball, man. That was really nice.
100%. He had like at least a good 30 seconds to decide how to execute the shot, place where he wanted to, but yet the finish seemed lacking, man. Like you all pointed out, he should be a plan B that's actually, coming on maybe towards the last 15 minutes of a game and giving us something different, right? When you're spamming crosses and, hoping for the best, he's a really good option. But yeah, when he's starting and being the focal point, there's too much pressure. You could see how nervous he is, honestly. When the Bernabeu is actually looking down upon you to actually, pull something out of the hat. Joselu ain't your guy, man, honestly. I guess we're going to see more frustrating nights like these, throughout the season. Because this man, unfortunately, like what Mo said, you get what's on the tin, what's on the description. He isn't really an elite center forward. Right, let's put the obvious out of the way. We have a few comments. Jacob, if you can please read it out for me, especially the Urim James one.
About Joselu's placement?
It was blind venom, a little further back.
So Urim James says it was a blind venom, no placement. A few of them were powerful, but straight at the goalkeeper.
I mean, that's a thing that you always see with shots that are taken prematurely. Sometimes just put into power, you lack the confidence to place it. I think that's what happens when you're rushing your shots. With players like Benzema, they know how to wait and time their shots. If you remember that goal against Liverpool where Modric won the ball deep from, I think it was Steven Pajtic, and he dribbled the ball forward. Benzema gets the ball in the box. There are like 3 or 4 defenders, but he still had the foresight, the calmness to keep the ball at his feet and score. I think that is something that lacks with Joselu and other strikers. There's a reason why I think players like Benzema are contending for the Ballon d'Or, why these guys are just level below that. I don't really want to be too harsh because Joselu is a player I like a lot, but we have to understand his limitations, before criticizing him too much.
So, just considering all of these, do you think now that Vinny is back, Joselu is gonna lose his place?
I think probably, most likely. The way I see it is like today was an indication about how Ancelotti sees like us going forward, and he came out guns blazing with the 4-4-2 diamond. Brahim playing as a 10. So I think going forward, there's no way that he turns to a 4-3-3 that some of us want. So I fully expect him to go back to Jude, Rodrigo and Vinicius as the starting front 3. If you could call that a front 3, probably a better term would be front 2 with Jude at the tip of the diamond.
Tip of the diamond. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about Rodrigo's performance since we're on the front line.
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed with Rodrigo today. I expected him to be more, dominant, to be more somebody who would take charge of the attack. And I guess a lot of criticism that's been coming against him that I think is valid is the fact that he hasn't taken that leadership role of attack. We don't have Benzema, we don't have Vinicius. So I think a lot of pressure falls on Rodrigo. But I haven't seen that positive vibe from him. That vibe where you say that I am the man today. Yeah. So yeah, that's something that I think if somebody criticized Rodrigo for that, yeah, definitely, I agree with it.
He was bright, Rodrigo. He tried. Like his application sometimes leaves a bit to be desired, but effort, running, gone more.
Now, for me, the thing is like it's like there is this X factor when you're playing in the game. You know you are the best player on the pitch, right?
Yeah.
You have to step up and take responsibility. That is something that I didn't see Rodrigo do today.
Mm.
And
Mm.
you know the way Real Madrid have been playing in the absence of Vinicius, you really expect Rodrigo to step up. At the start of the season, I said that Real Madrid are gonna how far Real Madrid go. A lot of that is going to depend on Rodrigo. So you know if this is the version of Rodrigo that we have, we are going to struggle. But if Rodrigo steps up and you know even reaches his last year's level, you know because last year he got like I think 20 or 30 goal contributions. So
Yeah.
if you're not at that level, then yeah, you know I don't really know where the goals are coming from.
See, that's the thing. Urim James says the same thing. Rodrigo's bright and big, an X factor, nothing more. I'm a huge fan. I've reiterated countless times he is my guy. But sadly, the evidence is even more alarming this season when there's no Benzema, there's no reference point. But I guess with a proper striker, he would be really good.
Yeah,
But if go on, go on.
I definitely agree with your point. You know, with
Mm,
somebody else around him, I think the point is like Ancelotti isn't really putting his players in the best positions to succeed. That's something that we have been harping on, and I think that is something that is on display. Even like today, his best plays came when he sort of drifted wide, started from the left, and dribble inside the box. Those were
And
the
when,
moments.
like you mentioned in the chat, the 4-3-3 kind of helps him
Yeah,
move
definitely.
around in
And
familiar
even when
areas. Yeah.
Ancelotti made those subs, Rodrigo was playing centrally, but there was this dynamism in the forward line, and Rodrigo had the freedom to run in behind, make those runs, between the defenders and everything, and the passes were coming. That's when I think Rodrigo is at his best, and the way Ancelotti is using Rodrigo and Vinicius, because Vinicius has been injured, but before Vinicius got injured, we weren't really
Mhm.
happy with his performances. All of us we were like, this is not the Vinicius we saw last season. So like we'll see how it goes, but with the 4-4-2 and playing them more centrally, especially Vinicius more centrally, I'm not exactly sure how this will go down.
Yeah, that's what Farouk was insinuating. A lot of people were actually insinuating maybe he's the guy who moves on, but I really don't want that to happen. I truly believe that once a proper striker, once an Mbappe, or a Haaland or someone of that ilk comes in, like you'll see Rodrigo go back to his actual scintillating best. Uri James is actually pretty bang on the head. For this season at least, he needs to be more than being the X factor. Some of his finishing is very poor at the goalkeeper for the most part. Yes, I agree with it because like I've always attributed clinical finishing, precise, incisive finishing with Rodrigo because he has the real knack for it. But this season has been very blunt.
I
Doesn't
mean, there's a lot of
combine.
pressure on
Hmm,
them, from
hmm,
defenders. Like
yeah.
even in today's game, he got a lot of shots off, but like how many of those shots were like in space? How
Hmm,
many of those shots did he have time to time to consider and take his finish? He didn't
hmm.
have that. It's like he was pretty much crowded. For me, the bigger issue is the fact that I don't see him being a leader in the attack, because that is something that I expect from him. For the finishing, yeah, he's missing a lot of shots, but I think down the line it's going to even out. But like is the leadership aspect of it, is the taking charge of the game that I expect to see more from him.
Without a focal point, I don't think he'll be able to. But yeah, let's just hope he manages to somehow,
No, I
do
mean
some.
it's not just about like not having a focus. It's more about stepping up and taking responsibility, trying to be the main man, trying to get into positions that you can score from. I didn't see that from him today.
Today, yeah, I agree with you. But throughout the season, I've seen him taking responsibility quite often. Sometimes even more responsibility than he can actually, do justice to, in my
I mean,
opinion.
I was talking about today, so
Oh, right, okay, okay. But I'm just putting it out there, right? Like he has attempted to take some responsibility and like
yeah. Another thing
change
is
the course of a game on his own.
I've always like defended him. I've said that
Mm,
we have
mm,
to give consideration to what kind of position he's getting those shots in. But today I felt like, given the quality of the opposition, I needed to see more from him.
100%. The cross though was pretty nice. Didn't even have to scan the area. He just knew um, where Hosilo would be, how to how what was the best ball to actually find him, and yeah, he did it with ease. Um, good assist, 100%. It'll actually help him with his overall confidence, because it hasn't really been going well for Rodrigo this season. I hope he really takes some light from that assist, because it was much needed. Because if it stays 1-0, it's a different game. We're under more pressure, and honestly, I didn't see a way through which we are scoring the second goal. So truly thankful. Um, right, moving on from Rodrigo. Who should we talk about next, guys?
Talk about the midfield as a whole. Cover it all.
Mhm. You could kick it off, Jacob. I felt like Fede, Chouameni, Kamavinga all had very great games, to be honest.
Yeah, defensively, I feel like compared to at least the last game, this time Valverde had a little bit more time to make decisions. He was actually covering for Vasquez over there. And he didn't really have a good partnership with Nacho, but it's understandable, it's Nacho. But he did some really great things. He put some nice balls in. Really happy with Valverde's performance. He ran throughout the game. Kamavinga as well. He was very tight in today's game. Tried a lot of things. Tchouaméni, I would feel like he was the least effective in attack compared to the other two, but he did his job. 7 out of 10
Had
at
a
least.
good couple of pop shots.
Yeah,
Was nice. You can clearly see, when he's driving with the ball, like he's itching to pull a shot away.
yeah. I'm just waiting. When will one of these actually go in, man? All of these shots are really good. They have venom behind it. It's hitting the corner if the defender isn't blocking it. But it's just that the defender always gets to it in the end.
Fair enough. More midfield.
Yeah, for me personally, there wasn't much to talk about in the midfield, because I think, given the quality of opposition and how deep we
Yeah.
were on most occasions, this is the sort of performance you expect. The only worrying thing for me was I felt like at the start, Chouameni, I felt not at the start. Overall, I felt Chouameni gave a lot of cheap balls away. Towards the beginning, I was like, yeah, this is one or two mistakes. It's okay, it happens. But then towards the end, you saw it happened to 3 or 4 times, and then you're like, yeah, this is a worry. And the second thing that I felt was again, Valverde was he had issues defending wide, deeper in our half. Last game we saw Samuel, literally hit a cross in his face for Morata to score. And I felt like Valverde was there, with a free ticket to see how you put in a great cross. So today again it was the same thing. I felt like his deep side defending on the wide areas wasn't really good, and but going forward, they did what's what expected of them. Valverde had a lot of good runs, good carries from the deep. So you have to appreciate that. While we talking about the bad, you also have to definitely talk about the good. Overall, yeah, decently satisfied, but there's definitely room for improvement.
The quality of opposition really, makes you put this into perspective. Like on the night, I felt they didn't really. Although I agree with the Chouameni being, super, wayward with his possession. I noted, even a couple of times, especially, in the second half, towards the end, down the right, he just really didn't know what he was doing. But maybe fatigue, maybe just losing a bit of concentration, because I think the win was in the bag by then. But yeah, like you said, room for improvement is definitely the word. Is this let me put this final question before we move on? Yeah, is this midfield setup gonna help us in big games against top quality opposition? Just one word answer. Yeah, I don't want an explanation. Jacob,
I
go.
mean, what do you mean by midfield setup?
Is it gonna work? Yes or no? Is this setup of Chouameni, Kamavinga, Fede as a midfield three gonna work?
For me, yes.
Jacob, yes. Mo?
I don't really have an answer.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Ashik said
I
no
can't really give a
anyways.
one-word answer.
Okay, then expand on it. Let's hear it.
I think from a pressing perspective, this midfield is pretty good. As long as, but from a possession aspect, I think Cruz probably gives you more.
Which is pretty obvious, pass master. Right. We'll talk about the subs towards the end. Go on, Mo. Do you have something to say?
No.
So Ashik changed his answer. He said, yeah, it could work, but not with the diamond. He wants a 4-3-3.
I think maybe one more harsh loss would see Carlo go back to his trusted apprentice in the
I
4-3-3.
just say this, okay? I'll just expand why I hate the diamond so much. Whenever we played the diamond against under Zidane, the idea was to ho- keep possession, to gain control of the ball. With this particular setup of the diamond, I don't really think we do that. And this diamond also doesn't really help in ball progression. So when these two things aren't working, the only thing that this diamond helps is Jude is further forward and he's in the areas to get into areas. He's able to
Man,
get into areas to
Zidane's
score. Even when Zidane was
also.
playing with Real Madrid, Zidane wasn't playing at the tip of the diamond. What he used to they had to adjust basically. He was starting off, off wide towards the left, and start drifting inside. And then you have to understand that when Zidane was playing, he was playing behind players like Ronaldo and Raul. So
Raul,
these guys are pretty good on the ball.
Morientes also,
Yeah, they
right?
were dynamic.
Morientes too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Morientes too, but more Ronaldo and Raul overlap was there.
And also Zidane's diamond had the benefit of two world-class fullbacks, man. We forget that quite often. Marcelo,
Yeah,
Carvajal.
that's definitely an aspect of it that we have to keep into mind. But the fact is, the key idea, the reason why Zidane used the diamond was to create midfield overloads, and he had the players to do that. Players like Isco, Isco was world class at keeping the ball.
Mm.
I don't really see the same from Jude when it comes to those aspects of the game. Jude has his own strengths. His ability to get inside the box, his ability to defend deeper, his ability to play a pass from the deep. I think he's world class at that. But when it comes to combining in half spaces, keeping the ball, rotating position, I haven't seen that from him. So for me, the diamond is all about keeping the ball. And if you aren't doing that, I have my doubts about the formation.
Yeah, the formation is definitely not going to have many believers. It has retractors even more than it was beginning of the season. But I truly believe that the 4-3-3 is coming, and it's coming thick and fast. Because this is not sustainable. I was thinking this was sustainable, but especially with the quality of our fullbacks and the quality of our midfield, the quality of our attack, all in tandem, it really doesn't look great. I'm gonna dread the day we play a top opposition with a diamond starting the game. It's gonna go north, south. Sorry, it's gonna go south pretty quick. Right. Moving on to a defense. Mendy coming back pretty decent. Um, didn't really get tested much. Jacob was pretty keen on him before we came on. No, it was the beginning of the pod. Mendy, man, had some decent arrays into the Las Palmas. Third, had a few good cutbacks. Didn't really get lucky with nabbing an assist, but yeah, good return, yeah, for Mendy.
Yep. For me, it's okay. I don't want to talk about defending because there was hardly any from his side. But what I saw different from Fran Garcia, at least, he was always at the right time to keep possession, keep the ball moving. While less, you can see Fran Garcia just being in the wrong positions at the wrong times, not being there in defense. But Mendy was always there at the right time. And apart from that, he had the know-how and the sense to calm things down and play a cutback, but you just can't expect that from Fran Garcia. Fran Garcia does not choose his moments, Mendy does. So I feel like that was a difference, and it's just encouraging for me to see him back.
Experience, yeah, you could see how much experience Mendy has. Very, very super composed. Mendy rarely, rarely has to think twice about what he's gonna do. Apart from his attacking wars. On the other side, Nacho went off. I mean, not Nacho. Nacho had to move to centre back. Vasquez came on, bagged an assist again. How does he keep doing this more? There has to be some sort of juju at work, like always. But Vasquez, given his terrible defending at times, the reason why he was, not chosen by Carlo, to actually start the game. But yet again, he somehow manages to find a way.
I think the fact of the matter is, when he was running at the opposition, he had a lot of space. And you have to remember like how the first goal came about. Like, there was a mistake from Las Palmas defense that
There was a
Lucas
few leading up to it,
Lucas was in the right position at the right time.
but
So
still,
that
let's give him some credit. Some credit.
obviously, of course, he deserves the credit. You have to understand, like this guy is a right winger who's like essentially playing as a right back. So when it comes to the game going forward, he's always been pretty decent. Yeah, when he's doing this god mode dribbles, you have to pull your hair out. But apart from that, when it comes to crossing, taking like being a body in the opponent half, I think he's much better than Nacho. But when it comes to defense, we all know that he has his weaknesses and his moments. But overall, yeah, you get what you expect with Lucas. You can't really ask much more. And there's a gulf of a difference between having Carvajal play at the right back and Lucas or even Nacho.
Ashik was saying, Vasquez is not a flashy player. He's a hard-working player, and this hard work and dedication pays off at the end. He's also playing out of position. Yeah, 100%. Vasquez always, man, 7 out of 10 is a guarantee, on the checkbook. But Rudiger, like we discussed, had a pretty good game. Alaba, unfortunate to have a niggle early on. Nacho, Jacob, steady Eddie.
Steady Eddie, man, like he hardly had to face a lot of opposition at least on his own. I feel like the team came together at least in the middle of the park to shut things down. The opposition did not have any sort of space, so Nacho was helped by that, but he did not put a foot wrong today.
I actually disagree with that. I think there was a lot of moments when Nacho kind of stepped up and quelled the attack before it began. So I think you have to give credit to him. That's always something that Nacho has done pretty well. He's pretty
aggressive and stepping up. Yeah,
and killing off the attacks before they even begin. So for me, I don't like. I wouldn't say that he was steady Eddie. Perhaps a little bit better than that. Nacho for me was pretty good today. But then you also have to consider the opposition, so, with the caveat, obviously.
Jonathan Vera running at you is not exactly a scary proposition, but right, big one. Kepa had a few shots to deal with. Urim James was actually saying here earlier, Kepa really is playing like he doesn't want to go back to Chelsea and whatnot. Last week was pretty horrifying for him. I mean, on Sunday, wasn't last week, but yeah, kind of last week. Kepa.
I mean, with Kepa, I don't really agree with the definition that it was pretty horrifying for them. Perhaps we are interpreting the word differently. Perhaps, like for me, I think Kepa was decent at Atleti. I wouldn't really blame him for anything for the goals. So maybe it's the amount of goals that he considers that you consider horrifying, but it is what it is. Like Kepa, we always know that he's weak at crosses, and the team has to compensate for that. But what he's good at is like making saves and making.
The only way a team is compensating for such poor positioning on aerial balls is basically playing. I don't know, a giant great Kali at centre back.
There are like certain goalkeepers. There's a style of goalkeeping. Kepa is a different style compared to Courtois. Even if you take the best kind of goalkeepers of the style that Kepa is, like it was Iker. Even Iker had troubles dealing with crosses. He had trouble dealing with long shots. So there's always weaknesses in a player. There's no player who's like completely well-rounded and has zero weaknesses. So
but when crossing is the most,
the team has to deal with it. So I felt that against Atleti it was a failure of the team.
I'm not really bashing him for having a weakness. More, you should understand the fact that when crossing is the most used last-ditch tactic in the name of the game to actually, nick a goal, it is horrifying to watch, honestly, because every ball from the deep is a threat.
Kepa, but the thing is, like, before we signed Kepa, we all knew that this was his weakness, right?
This is what I was, insinuating even before he came on.
The manager decided that he's going to go with Kepa. If he felt like this weakness was a game ender, I would have gone with Lunin.
Imagine facing City in the round of 16, right? Away. First leg would be away. Just imagine, yeah? 4 crosses into the box, 4 goals. What is anyone gonna do?
Considered 4 with Courtois as well, right?
But I'm telling you, 4 crosses will all that.
As a team. You have to
will all.
You have to cover up for
No,
each other's
so
weaknesses.
I think what you guys are saying is, okay, Mo, you're saying this guy has some clear weaknesses. We can't do anything about it. You can't fault him for that. But what Sunil is saying is that fucking dealing with crosses is like a basic requirement for a goalkeeper. And if he doesn't do that, then we're gonna be in trouble.
That's the point that I'm disagreeing with it. The fact is, like, there have been keepers who have had this weakness, right? But the team has compensated for him. So he has this weakness. We've always known that, right? It isn't something that's like suddenly we have found out. It isn't news to us. We've always known that. So it's the job of the manager to deal with it, to play around it. If you're selecting him to be your starter, then you have to set up your defense in a way that compensates for it. So that's what I'm not denying that. If I had the option going with Kepa or Courtois, I mean, there's nobody in the world who's going to go with Kepa or Courtois.
So basically, apart from maybe Vinny, everyone out wide or in the middle has to double up on the opposition winger to prevent a cross.
I mean, yeah, definitely. You have to defend your team. You have to prevent crosses. You have to defend the crosses better in the box. I mean, that's what the job of a defense is, right?
It clearly impact our strength in numbers going forward in transition and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see, man. Because this guy, people were slating, the dude in one of the fan camps, who was very, very honest, where he was saying Kappa is a problem, and I honestly had a rude awakening because I used to be like, what is he going to do? His backup
I don't
to
really understand
Thibaut.
what rude awakening is. Like, was it like the
We
first
all
match we thought
knew,
that
but
Kepa
bro,
was useless or something?
when Griezmann is actually, getting the head onto a ball and burying a header,
Yeah, and
it's
who
happy
was the
days.
one who was defending him? Who's supposed to be the one stopping him?
Alaba and Rudiger, but I completely
So
understand
that's
that.
the thing, right? When your defense is not helping you, how much can you put the blame on the keeper? It's a team game, man. It's not about it's not tennis. There's no only Kepa going there and playing, stop the ball.
I guess we'll find out in a couple of months. Round of 16 isn't far
We
away.
obviously know that's his weakness. I don't really understand what we are supposed to find out.
Because you guys are being very soft on him.
No, it's the fact that we know that this is a lost cause, right? With Kepa, you can't let him deal with it. We need to find other solutions to deal
I
with
mean,
it.
at 29, you can't really expect Kepa to suddenly improve his play on crosses. I mean, I didn't expect Iker to improve at crosses, but he was a pretty damn good goalkeeper.
Mm. Right. I just hope, like you said, Carlo devises a plan, but I don't see a plan where with our current crop of players, with our fullbacks and centre backs as they are, this
I mean,
current
Suresh, we're
setup.
doing this for free. Carlo Ancelotti is getting paid to do this, right? So I expect him to get figure out a way.
I don't think there is a way out, man. But yeah, that is the story of this season in many aspects. Just the goalkeeper is the most silly situation. But Thibaut will be back, right, around March or something, right?
I don't know.
March is a long time away, man. But yeah, let's see.
March a long time away.
If what I remember him saying was like April or maybe May towards the end of the season, but like Real Madrid don't plan. I think the expectation should be that he's not coming back this season.
Happy days. Right. Anything else we need to address, boys, before we kind of wrap this up slowly? Did you think that we missed out on any crucial bits of the game that we didn't touch upon?
I guess just the cameo from Marvel, looking at that, and Ceballos' appearance, like his impact for the rest.
Oh yeah, the subs definitely. Yeah, 100%. Anybody has anything interesting to say?
I mean, I felt like I already touched upon this. I think I didn't like the fact that Brahim was taken off, but Ceballos came and he did decently. I think Ancelotti sort of changed his tactics. And initially, I was like, yeah, what is he doing? Because he's taking Joselu off, he's taking Brahim off. I thought that he was only going to go with Rodrigo and Vinicius, but he changed his tactics. Rodrigo started playing centrally. He was more dynamic. Vinicius out wide, Fede out wide. So yeah, it was decent. I mean, I probably would have preferred Brahim to get more time. Apart from that, I don't really have anything to say about the subs.
Yeah, 100%. You should get the guy into some sort of match rhythm, right? Like that should have been. Maybe I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe he's preserving him for Girona. I should ask Francesco that.
He's not gonna play Girona.
No chance. I know, right? But yeah.
For me, the only worrying aspect is the fact that Alaba went off injured, because I think he missed a lot of games last season as well for the hamstring injuries, and again another hamstring injury.
So it's not looking good, even for
hamstring injury.
I mean that abductor. It's abductor, right? Not adductor. Abductor. AB. Yeah, it's the same muscle group. Like abductor is a function, and muscle. I don't really know which muscle got injured, but
Right.
at like reading between the lines, I can think that it's like a hamstring injury.
Rudiger also seems to have some sort of an issue, right? So yeah, it's peak,
I think
boys.
perhaps a better term would be a muscular injury. He has a muscular injury, not a hamstring, a muscular injury.
Even on a night where we have something to celebrate, especially a win, it's not exactly looking great. But yeah, availability, fitness, and whatnot. And next week is going to be a stern test, a very stern test. I just hope we are up for it. We have. I really hope, and we don't have to play Chouameni at centre back, because that's going to be tough to watch. Honestly, so tough to watch, because this guy has been getting some sort of a rhythm, some sort of confidence, into his game. This season has been one of the standout performers, and him having to drop out at centre back and do the hard yards again, not good.
Maybe Ancelotti plays Cruz at centre back as a very deep line playmaker.
Oh my god. Oof. I'm not ready for it, honestly.
Modric was playing as a false nine, so you never know what happens.
Yeah. He has the Carlo. I used to always think Carlo really is the guy who plays it safe and really, goes by the script. But over the years, especially in his second tenure, he has managed to surprise me the wrong way quite a few times. That yeah, I'm not looking forward to Girona, man. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, people. Big up every single one of you in the chat who is interacting with this thing. Like I always say, your participation, you being here, and basically getting involved in the conversation, what makes this a two-way street. And this podcast is what this is, because it's a two-way street. And I strongly urge every single one of you to whenever you get the time, come on down and actually get involved, man. It's truly what makes us also feel motivated to come on and talk about our team, even on bad days, without stressing on it. But yeah, big up to all our audio listeners on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of that. We are less than 100 away from 1,000 followers on Spotify. If you haven't hit follow, do hit follow. Don't forget to follow our partners, Real Madrid Committee, on Instagram. They're on a brilliant fan page. The link is in the description. Do check them out. Again, friendly reminder, finalists, your podcast, our dream, your dream. They weren't really a Real Madrid podcast apart from, the obvious juggernaut managing Madrid in existence when we started. There were quite a few who were pretty keen, players, in the same field, but they really couldn't keep up, because they just couldn't do this back to back grind. But we did, because we had an obligation towards our listeners, our very supportive listeners, over the course of these 2+ years. So our podcast is finalists in 2 major categories at the Football Content Awards, the biggest football oriented awards in the world, and it's held in Anfield in the UK. It has the attendance of some top delegates in the footballing world, top journalists, top scouts, top coaches, top players, women's players, all of that. So FCA is a pretty big thing, and it's an absolute honor. I was over the moon when I got the mail that we were nominated in 2 categories. I was expecting just one, but we were actually nominated in 2 categories. So do please help us out. The link is in the description below. It's super easy. Go on to Best Podcast under the international category. Select Let's Be Real, a Real Madrid podcast from the drop down. Same thing for the Best Club Content Creator International as well. It'll mean a lot, people, honestly. Get your friends to vote. Like Farooq was always saying, tell a friend to tell a friend. It really will go a long way. And yeah,
Maybe
if,
even
if
grab
if
some people off the streets.
honestly, if there's a postman that you can stop by and yeah, get him to vote, Amazon delivery driver, UPS guy, anybody, man, any and every vote counts. It'll truly be a surreal moment if we can actually be on the podium on November the 16th. It'll really put us on the map. All these EPL content creators, among them, we will keep the white flag flying high, like what Farooq was saying. It was very well put, to be honest, because it's all about the matter of representation, in my humble opinion, more than our podcast winning. It's really a statement that a La Liga podcast is actually doing something in the world of football content as well. But yeah, again, very humbled by all the messages, DMs that you guys sent me. It's truly, I really look at it before I go to sleep. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be totally honest. It really makes me realize what we do is something special, and really keep people company in their walks of life. And we will keep on doing this, man, honestly, as much as we can. And it's not easy, like I always reiterate. We are from different time zones, different walks of life, juggling uni, jobs, whatnot. So family as well. Some people have kids. It's pretty mad. So yeah, keep showing us love, people. Hopefully, Girona will be a good away trip. So until next time, Ala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.